This is music, and this is Know Your Collection Part 2. Welcome to the second part of my response to Thomas from the Mercyful Metal Channel's challenge to the entire vinyl community. He's now better known as Mr. Tabasco. Now, his challenge, the point was just to have us reconnect with certain items in our collections, and he just wanted us to pick out some items that maybe we couldn't remember what they sounded like and reconnect with them. So that's fun. I always like exploring my collection like that. So we had three tasks. First, show the album you're currently listening to or an album that you just listened to. Then show two albums you haven't listened to in a year, at least. And then show three albums that you can't really remember what they sound like at all, and you don't know what they're doing in your collection, maybe. So I did a response to his challenge. Now I have listened to the items that I picked out, and so this is a follow-up. So the album that I was listening to at the time, and it's fresh in my mind, was this one here, Powermad, Absolute Power. Still thrash beat metal album. Still uh, very melodic, but also very aggressive. Still has a lot of traditional heavy metal elements in it. Still has clean vocals that are a little bit shouty in places. And it's still freaking fantastic. And I still like this weird cover artwork. More interesting, though, I think the albums that I hadn't listened to in a while. So the two albums I hadn't listened to in at least a year. One of them was this one here, Warning, Watching from a Distance. Uh, this is doom metal, and I gave it a listen, and it's just as fantastic as I remember it being. Very slow, but not overly slow. Doom metal. It feels very epic, but it actually isn't. Part of what makes it feel epic is probably that the songs are kind of long, and the production sounds big and mighty, and especially the drums, big and echoey. But really, it's just drums, bass, guitars, vocals. No keyboards, no synths, no strings, no orchestral elements, no additional instruments. And you don't even have guitar solos on this because the songs don't call for them. Uh, but it still sounds kind of epic. Very emotional doom metal, very sad. Uh, the guitars, they're not barren, but they're not lush either. You do have harmonies every now and then, very strategically placed harmonies, because the overall feel of this album is misery. That's good for doom metal. And then when those uh, harmonies kick in, it just makes you feel even more miserable in the good way because it's doom metal. So very emotional doom metal, long songs, like great but sad riffs. There's more going on than you might expect. At first listen, maybe it sounds plotting, but there are actually more like changes and stuff than maybe you would pick up on. Fantastic stuff. Uh, the vocals are very emotional. The vocalist's voice reminds me a little bit actually of the guy from REM. Had the guy from REM's entire family left him, and he would only now, after a couple of weeks of denial, realize they're not coming back. They've left him forever, and it's his own fault because he messed everything up. It's that sense of regret and despair that the vocals capture. So the vibe of this is, yeah, despair, misery, sadness, loneliness, regret, failure at life, crestfallenness, uh, all that good stuff. And that's what I like about doom metal, or at least the type of doom metal I like. Kind of, yeah, kind of connects us with those emotions, right? The sad emotions in a healthy way. So this is a fantastic doom metal album. It's one of my favorite doom metal albums of all time, and it was nice to hear it again. If you decide to give this a listen and at some point you realize that you're just crying, like ugly crying, like a baby with snot all over your face, don't worry. That's what this music does to you, I guess. It's okay. Anyways, the other one that I hadn't listened to in a year was this one here, Zen, Rules, Jewels, Fools. This is a Portuguese alternative rock band, and it's a kind of a mix of yeah, alternative rock, a little bit of grunge maybe, and some noise rock and a little bit of punk rock and some classic rock as well, for sure. And it's really good. One thing that I had forgotten was that the guitar tone and some of the funkier, because you have some funk elements too, some of the funkier and groovier riffs here, I think they're quite inspired by Rage Against the Machine, which I don't have any problem with at all. And there's a lot of variation on this one. It's all kind of dark in a way and kind of strangely aggressive. It has a kind of a 90s alt rock vibe to it, although it's from 2004. And the bass work is fantastic. That's probably my favorite part of it. The bass player uses chords and, harmonies and stuff. And actually, you have a lot of like dissonant chords, like on the guitar as well and on the bass. So it's very interesting in that sense. By the way, I know not much to look at here. I do have the Digipack stored somewhere else, and it looks like this. And it's Rules, Jewels, Fools by Zen. Do check it out if you like your alternative rock because it's good. Okay, so the three albums that I can barely remember. So the first one is this one here, Gun Barrel Battle Tested. Uh, yeah, it. I had forgotten some details for sure, but it was like traditional heavy metal, which was what I could vaguely remember. But there were some more things on here. You had to have some like a little bit of power metal influence without it being power metal, and you had some hard rock and even some elements from a little bit of bluesy hard rock. But it is traditional heavy metal. The vocals are a little bit rock and roll ish without sounding exactly like rock and roll. You have like influences, or I don't know if they're influences, but like elements that remind me of Rawhead Rex, of Judas Priest, Accept, and all those good old traditional heavy metal acts. So yeah, this is good fun, quite cheesy though, and especially the lyrics. They're kind of silly if I'm being completely honest with you. There's one song, I think it's Lover Like a Gun, which is supposed to be like a fun, sleazy, kind of clammy song almost, but it just sounds creepy if I'm being completely honest. You have a song that's called My Last Ale. It's kind of silly and cheesy, but I kind of like the message there actually. The message is basically uh, when somebody dies, you know, remember them. Don't just, be miserable. I mean, obviously it's kind of in contrast with this, but the idea is, when someone dies, you have good memories of them, have a drink on them, and, cheers, we'll remember you, and all the good memories. And I kind of like that message, although it's delivered in a kind of a silly, cheesy way. There's a song called Rebel Tune, which is kind of a pirate medley song, but it's kind of fun. So yeah, a little bit cheesy, traditional heavy metal with some power metal elements, and it's good fun. If you find a cheap copy of this somewhere and you like traditional heavy metal, it's worth checking out for sure. Uh, the next one was this one here, Rated X, and it's called Rock Blooded. And yeah, this is kind of it's hard rock with some boogie rock elements. The title track, the opening track, is kind of a mid-paced, melancholic boogie rock song, which is very weird in the sense. I wouldn't expect that from a boogie rock song, but I quite like it. And yeah, so you have some pretty cool songs on here on side A in particular. The uh the Dirty Lady is a pretty good kind of glam metal kind of song. I also quite like I Know, which is also a little bit sleazy, and I have to choose, which has almost like a kind of a new wave bass line to it. And that's the interesting part of this is that you do have some elements from it's hard rock, metal, but you have some elements from other styles of contemporary rock on this, which I appreciate. So and the songs were not as plodding and as dragging as I remembered them being. So that was nice, but they could still be faster, some of them. But yeah, this is a good, fun listen. Side A is better than side B, I think, but I enjoy this album. Yeah, good fun. It's nice to hear this one again. And the last one was one I couldn't remember at all. Task Force Forbidden Fruit. I think it's more like a mini album. You only have 6 songs on here, and it's from '83, I think. But it sounds a little bit more like late '70s garage rock. I mean, it's hard rock, but it's kind of raw. It's a power trio, so bass, drums, guitar, and vocals. And you don't have any dubbed guitars or anything like that. So when the guitar solo kicks in, it's only the bass, and that's kind of cool in this case because the bass is kind of at the center of the instrumentation. So that's fine. You have some boogie rockers on here as well. You have some simple, straightforward, kind of raw. I mean, we're not talking black metal raw. I don't think you expected that, but yeah, some raw-ish, uh, hard rocking songs and some quite good vocals actually. I mean, they're shouty, but they kind of fit the overall vibe of this. In a way, there's a slight kind of punky feel to it. I mean, not like the music or anything, but that kind of like, do it yourself vibe to it. So this is a really, really good album or mini album. I enjoyed it, but now I also understand why I couldn't remember anything about it at all because it's one of those albums which, although it's good and it's enjoyable when you listen to it, there isn't really a song that stands out. And thus, you know, at least me, I tend to kind of forget the album almost immediately after I've listened to it, although it's good and enjoyable. So yeah, that was nice to give this one a listen to. So there you go. That was my follow-up to Mr. Tabasco's challenge. Thanks for watching.